In this part of video tutorial, we are going to talk about what is cloud computing and we'll identify the benefits of cloud computing. We'll then talk about that who's using AWS and why they are using it. Then we'll talk about AWS products and services and why it is used for big data. Cloud computing. What is cloud computing? When we talk about cloud computing, it is a term which indicates delivery of computing resources, servers, storage, network, etc. over the internet and can be accessed from anywhere and anytime. Now, there is a third party vendor which is involved in this complete scenario, which is called cloud service provider. You take up these servers from that cloud service provider, storage, network, etc., and all such services on rent over the internet. Okay, and use their resources, cloud service providers' resources over the internet, and these resources can be accessed from anywhere and anytime. That is actually called cloud computing. Now, cloud computing is expanding extremely fast, and its business revenue is predicted to quadruple in the next decade. So, it started up, within last decade only, and now you can see that how fast it is increasing. So, there is an increasing need of the salespeople, marketers, and senior management to actually understand the principles of cloud and different cloud migration strategies so that they can bring in the right solutions during the business discussions. And this is especially true when we talk about big data. Then, why we have designed up this course is that this course will give you a foundation on cloud for those who want to actually advocate the cloud computing solutions over big data to enterprise clients. So this is the whole agenda for this particular course. Now, as you can see in this graph, we have two lines. We have green line depicting the actual usage, that is our actual usage of the resources, and the red line depicting the allocated resources. So as you can see, when we have the actual usage, see, let's say we have 10 resources, which are the allocated resources to a web hosting environment, 10 web servers. Okay. Now, when the load increases on these 10 web servers, at the time when there is no load, these 10 web servers will be more than enough to handle the load. Maybe we required only 4, but other 6 are already running. So we are overutilized. But then whenever the load increases, there is a peak load, additional servers will be required. Those 10 servers may be not enough to handle the complete load. Okay, so there is always a gap. Earlier we required 4, we had 10. Now we require maybe 15 or 20, but we have only 10 servers. So we are either overutilized or we are underutilized. This is a problem with traditional computing. There is no way that on the runtime there is a system which will automatically detect that how much capacity will be enough, and those servers should be automatically added up. That part, automation part, is actually missing with this traditional computing. So with the starting of cloud computing, this problem is actually resolved because we have these services which will automatically detect the load, and based on that load, the resources will be allocated. So you will never be either overutilized or underutilized. So you are actually saving in your money also, and you are at the same time predicting or forecasting the load correctly as well, and hence providing the resources which are required. Some of the other benefits of cloud computing, apart from this scalability, is lower capital expenditure. Of course, you don't need to spend so much in taking up or gathering the infrastructure. You don't need to do any infrastructure setup because cloud service provider is going to do that on your behalf. You are just using their servers or their infrastructure over the internet. That is what cloud computing is. Then it is a pay as you go use methodology. Now let's say I have 3 servers. When we talk about AWS in particular or any other service providers, if I'm not using those three servers are in stopped state, I am not going to pay for these servers. As soon as we start the servers or the servers start running, then the metered bill gets generated. So it's like a utility model. You have to just pay for whatever you are using. There is no commitment, no upfront investment, no extra usage cost. And it is utility based pricing, we already discussed. It is a secure storage management. It is very, very much secure. The cloud computing provides you various methods to secure your data, okay, in terms of accesses, in terms of encrypting your data, etc. There is a 24 cross 7 support from the cloud service vendors, so you will not lose anything. And in case you have anything, you can just simply raise a support ticket with them. The data on cloud is highly reliable, scalable, and sustainable. You can manage the user level access. Okay, you have the services to manage the access for different type of people or different type of roles you have. Then you have the lower total cost of ownership. Then it frees up the internal resources for you. There's a device and location. The device, it is device and location independent. Okay, if you are sitting anywhere across the globe, you don't require any setup to be done. Just a normal internet connection, and with on that internet connection you can actually access all the services. It's a very easy and agile deployment with AWS or any other cloud service provider, and the complete system is highly automated. Okay. When we talk about how the service models are designed in cloud computing, service models as in the cloud service providers provide you different type of services. Some cloud service provider are categorized into the category of infrastructure as a service. And then when you say infrastructure as a service, they actually provide you the plain blank infrastructure. For example, if I require to set up a Oracle database onto cloud, infrastructure as a service provider will only give me a plain server. I need to purchase my own Oracle license, do the installation, take care of the backups, take care of the multi-AZ or master slave configuration, take care of the maintenance, software upgrades, OS patches, etc. So everything will be my responsibility. Only thing I'll be getting from the infrastructure as a service provider is a plain server on which I will have the complete access. I'll be the admin of that particular server. So it will be under my control. Then the second category is the platform as a service, wherein it includes the underlying infrastructure. And in the same example, like we required Oracle, it will just give us Oracle already installed on one particular system. Using the normal tools like SQL developer, or and so on, we or Toad maybe, we can just connect to this Oracle instance and do our work. We will not be able to take a remote of that server and do certain set of installations on our own. That thing is not possible. But then yes, your installation headaches and other DBA activities are all taken care with platform as a service. You need not worry about the backup of the data. You need not worry about master slave configuration. You just have to tell the PaaS provider that this is your requirement, and it will be all taken care by PaaS. Then comes your software as a service. Now, software as a service can be compared with Google Docs. Now, in Google Docs, you need not require to install any software onto your system, that is, any Microsoft Office onto your system. Just create your account with Google Docs, and you can create your Word documents or PowerPoint documents, whatever you like. You can further share it with your team as well. So software as a service is providing you the opportunity of not purchasing the software and not having the installation issues, licensing issues, etc. It will allow you to use the software itself as a service. So it is actually abstracting the platform as well as infrastructure for you. Talk about the infrastructure as a service provider. We have so many service providers across globe. Okay, this is just a small list of the top leading IS providers, and you can see that Amazon Web Services is leading the list. Then we have Azure, and GCP is actually catching up. We have virtual server from IBM Cloud, Oracle, and Alibaba Cloud as well. And we have so many IS providers across globe nowadays. Talk about the global presence of AWS. So these orange dot depicts the global presence of AWS. These are the regions where AWS has the actual data centers. So AWS right now has the data centers in 16 regions, and few more are yet to come. And we have across inside these regions multiple availability zones, which are the actual data centers where the data resides, are also there. Apart from this, AWS provides the cache data centers as well for content delivery network, and those are called edge locations. And across globe, 70 plus edge locations are there with AWS. So as you can see, the market share of AWS is actually the highest. Okay, it is even more than Microsoft Azure, much more than Microsoft Azure, Google Cloud Platform, IBM Software, and combined all others as well. Okay, you can see all others are 36.18%, whereas we have for AWS it is 47.10%. So in the next 14 years as well, combined to the all cloud service providers, it is already said according to Gartner that AWS will be leading the market. As already discussed, AWS has 16 regions across globe, and there are few more which will be coming very soon. These regions are isolated geographic locations where the data centers are there. Has multiple availability zones. Now, what are availability zones? As already discussed, those are the physical data centers where your actual servers or other services like networks and all will reside. Now, multiple availability zones are provided within one region to just give a better disaster recovery or high availability of each and every service. Services are concerned, AWS provides you wide variety of services in the category of compute, storage, databases, analytics, applications, deployments, etc. So this list is not it. We have a lot many services which are offered by AWS. We need big data on AWS. Big data can be on premise as well. But what is the benefit of having big data on AWS is AWS provides you broad range of services to help you build and deploy the big data analytics applications quickly and very easily. It has got a fast access to flexible and low cost IT resources. Okay, whenever you want to use the resources, you run it. Whenever you don't want them, you don't have to pay for the infrastructure setup and all. You can just stop them. Only for that particular usage, you will be billed. That's a benefit of AWS. You can rapidly scale virtually any big data application, including a data warehousing solution, clickstream analytics, fraud detection, etc. So you don't have to worry about how many servers you need to have, how those predictions, those forecasting is not required. You just start it with a minimum one, and then auto scaling or scalability in AWS will take care of all the scalability issues itself. With AWS, you don't need to take the large upfront investments in time and money to build and maintain the infrastructure. So you can just get started, create an account with AWS and get started. You don't need to do any prerequisite work.